Yeah. So in this session, we'll be discussing about supply. Now, I just want to have a quick round of understanding about the participants so that I can take my sessions and drive it accordingly. Can you all introduce yourselves one by one? Quickly. Name, what is their background, and where are they from? Basically, nothing beyond that.
So my name is Sheshadri. So I have done my MBA Finance and I have the rich experience of 15.8 years of industrial experience. So currently I'm assured with the Daikin Air Conditioning India Private Limited as MNC. As a commercial
Okay.
charge, I'm working and taking care of all the GST activities.
Okay, great. Next, please.
So myself Bhupendra Kumar and I'm from Gurgaon. So I have my own business and I'm handling my account department myself. So I have a little bit knowledge of GST. So for grooming myself in GST, that's why I take that session.
Perfect. Next.
So I am Narendran. I am a retired banker, but he is a financial advisor.
Okay.
I am looking after GST also.
Okay, great, sir.
Good evening, sir. This is Chitra. I have 20 years of experience. I'm working for a multinational company, so my experience of GST is limited. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So good evening, sir. This is Anil Kumar. Working as assistant manager accounts and finance in a manufacturing company. I'm also looking into GST aspect.
Perfect.
My name is Partha
hello, sir.
Chakravarti. My name is Partha Chakravarti. I'm an assistant general manager in Afcons Infrastructure Limited. It's a construction company. I have a 32 years experience in the accounts and finance. But I look international taxation. So I just wanted to have the knowledge of GST in India.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Next, please.
Yeah, hello. Hello, sir. My name is Preeti. I belong to Bihar, and currently I'm working as a finance manager in the state government, Bihar government.
Okay, Bihar State Government. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Next,
Hello,
please.
sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please continue. Yes, ma'am. Please continue.
I'm actually my name is hello.
Yes, ma'am. Please continue. You are able to hear you.
My name is Sarita Vikankar. I'm working as an accountant. It's a construction company, Nilkant Realtors. And just I have experience of 12 years around in accounts. For grooming myself, I have just applied for this course.
Okay, perfect. Next, please.
Good evening, sir. Myself Arun Verma. Hello.
Yes, please continue.
Good evening, sir. Myself Arun Verma, working in Rani NSK Steering System Private Limited, Bawal, Haryana.
Okay. Perfect, sir. Next,
Sir, myself Amrita Mathur. Sir, myself Amrita Mathur. I live in Ahmedabad. I'm a cost accountant. I've done MBA also. And we have our own business in IT. So I'm trying to learn more about GST so that I can handle the GST part. And I have been into teaching also.
Oh, great.
Hi, sir. This is Rajesh. I work as a senior accountant in an IT company, Quest Diagnostics. Like I have a 2 years of experience in accounts payable and taxation part also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, sir. My name is Gayatri.
Yes, ma'am. Please continue.
I'm a CMA final pursuing student. I thought it would be helpful for my exam, so I have joined this. Thank you.
Hi, sir. This is Pratik Jain here. I'm a cost accountant. I am associated with Ashok Leyland Limited as an AGM for international operations. I'm looking at expanding my knowledge through this course, sir.
Perfect.
Yeah, hi. My name is Anuradha. I'm from Chennai. It's been a long time since I finished CWA, and I've been doing various things, including being in a bank. I thought I'll update myself because I've not learned about GST a whole lot. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. Myself Shivananda Gowda. I'm working as assistant manager in Karnataka Vikas Grammar Bank in Karnataka.
Perfect. Next, please.
Sir, good evening, sir. Myself, Pragadishwaran. I'm a cost and management accounting student pursuing final. So I joined this course, which will help me for my exam preparations.
Okay, perfect. Next, please.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, my
Myself
name
G.
is Deep.
Srikanth.
Yeah, please continue.
Yes, sir. Myself G. Srikanth. Currently, I'm working as a assistant manager finance in Jute Corporation of India Limited. It's a central public sector enterprises, and I have 5 years of work experience in accounts and finance. That's it, sir. Thank you.
Great.
Hello,
Yeah,
sir. My
next.
name is Bindu. I did my MBA Finance. I used to work as an assistant professor. After COVID, I stopped working. Now I wanted to pursue this course. Thank you, sir.
Okay, perfect. Next, please.
Hello, Mallikarjuna sir. I am Indrani Lights once again. I met you in that other program on GST.
Right, sir. Right. On show cause notice and everything, actually.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So I've enrolled for this and trying to understand. I'm into valuation services. I'm basically an engineer, an MBA, and I'm also doing my cost as a part of the professional advancement. So, and also wish to take up GST as one of the verticals in future if it fructifies.
Perfect, sir.
I look
Perfect.
forward to this course for your guidance.
Yeah, next, please.
Hello, sir. I am Parvati. I am working in Rane NSK in Chennai corporate office.
Okay. Next, please.
Good evening, sir. I am Varun Kumar Podda, working in Jute Corporation of India Limited as a accountant.
Okay. Next, please.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. My name is
Yeah.
Shushanto Shah. Presently, I am working in Jute Corporation of India as additional assistant finance manager. Alongside, I am pursuing CMA final, and only my second group is yet to be clear.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Hello,
Next,
sir. Good evening. This is
Good evening.
Pauman. Yeah. My name is Pauman. I'm from Nagpur. Basically, I migrated to Nagpur from Bangalore. I was working with Accenture Solutions Private Limited as a team lead. Now, here in Nagpur, I'm looking for the new opportunities. So I just wanted to upskill my knowledge in the GST area. And currently, I'm pursuing CMA course as well alongside.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Hello,
next.
sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. I am Rajan Kumar Das. I am working as a Deputy Manager Finance in the Jute Corporation of India. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, next, please.
Good evening, sir. Myself is Ranjit Kumar. I am working as Assistant Manager Finance in Rane NSK Steering Systems Private Limited. I just wanted to update myself in the GST portion. That's why I chosen this course. Thank you.
Oh. Yeah, next, please.
My name is
Good evening, sir. This is Nilatri Datta. I'm working as an assistant manager finance in Jute Corporation of India Limited.
Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. My name is Sipsankar Jana. I'm additional assistant finance manager in Jute Corporation India.
Okay, great.
Good evening, sir. My name is Saikat Musa. I'm an additional accountant in Jute Corporation of India.
Okay. Next, please.
Good evening, sir. This is
Good
Aditya
evening, sir.
from Coachbihar, working at Jute Corporation of India Limited. Thank you.
Okay.
Sir, I'm HP Mistry from Ankleshwar, Gujarat. I'm working as an account officer and I have 2 years of experience.
Okay. Next, please.
Good evening, sir. I am Shubhankar Saha, working as an accountant in Jute Corporation of India Limited. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, sir. I am Sagar Das from Kolkata. I am working at Big Corporation India Limited as the assistant finance manager.
Okay, great. Yeah, next, please. Done. Okay, thank you. I think so. All of you have introduced yourself, and it is lovely to see all of you on a weekend. And I really appreciate your thirst for learning more and excelling in your profession. All the best for you guys. And to introduce myself, I'm a cost accountant with over 25 years of experience in multiple domains, ranging from taxation. In taxation, I purely focus on litigation, advocacy, and tax advisory services. Apart from that, I'm also a brand management consultant for various real estate firms, and I also work as a product architect for some of the startups. So I design their products, their flows, and everything basically. And I've also authored few books, and I'm also on various committees at both at state center and state level. I'm part of the grievance redressal committee in the Hyderabad zone that is based out of Telangana state. And this is my introduction. And coming to the sessions, what I'm going to handle today and tomorrow, I wanted to have a three-way communication in the discussions basically. And when we discuss, I want to discuss the subject matter rather than individual problems basically. Yes, we do have some room for question and answer at the end. So three-way communication, why I prefer is when I only speak or talk, it will become one way. When you have a question and ask me, that will become two-way. And when we were discussing for the other people, it will be three-way communication. So since we have left our academics long back, going back to the drawing board, learning everything will be a big challenge. So I'll try to cover it in a very simple and lucid manner. But at the same time, I'll be explaining you all the provisions based on the use cases or examples like that, so that your retention power is very high. And thumb rule in my discussions or session is very simple. Whenever I ask you to refer some provisions, mandatorily you have to refer to the BEAR Act rules and notifications. I don't expect anybody to refer to the Google and give me the answers. The reason is in Google, it is not a regulated or a controlled forum where people have an option to put their own ideas, interpretations. So that will have a challenge. So always refer to the BEAR Act. And before we start the session, I'm just typing in your chat window an application called GST Press. It is available both on Android and iOS. It is being maintained by one of the senior IRS officers. It has all the notifications, circulars, rules, acts up to date along with case laws. So please download that, keep it handy so that whenever we discuss, I ask you to refer or read any of the provisions, you can quickly read it basically. Perfect. So in the first session, we'll be discussing about supply. Now, before we discuss into supply, can somebody tell me Or I want 5 people to tell 5 different reasons why we have adopted GST. I need 5 points from 5 different participants.
So one
To
nation,
remove
one
the
tax.
cascading effect of the taxation.
Yes, cascading effect of the taxation. Perfect. Somebody said one nation, one tax. Can you please elaborate it?
So like there before GST, there's a VAT, there's a multiple tax like VAT, CS, and there's state tax and the center state tax like CST
Okay.
and VAT. So
Okay.
उनको इकट्ठा करने के लिए there's multiple taxes. Yeah.
Multiple taxes. You said perfect. 2 points done. 3 more to go.
Easy to there are multiple returns for each act, so reducing all these complaints is it's like a one act, it will be easy to complaints also.
Yeah, ease in return filing and compliance is basically perfect. 3 down, 2 more to go.
To have the uniformity in the business execution, so
Yes,
that there will be
please continue.
yeah, there will be a smooth running of the business. There will be no multiple challenges.
Okay, perfect. Then 1 more to go.
To reduce the loopholes because of the differences in taxes between states and in various ways to reduce.
Sorry, ma'am, can you be a bit more clear? I could not get you. Ma'am, can you please repeat, Anuradha ji?
To reduce incidents of tax avoidance between states.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, perfect. All of you got the fundamental things perfect. And now my next question is basically, what is the fundamental difference between GST and pre-GST taxation? Fundamental differences. 3 points. Fundamental differences.
You can claim
So more
credit
each state having each act and each act having the different complaints, returns, rates, taxes, all these things. But whereas coming to GST, it is a international is a one GST, one rate, one tax.
Perfect. Next.
See,
Sir, GST is a basically combination of goods and service as well, and where a pre-GST tax is segregation of goods tax different, like VAT, and service tax is different. That's basically GST is combination of both goods and service.
Perfect. Okay, next.
Double taxation was another problem.
Double taxation. Okay. Next. Two fundamental things I'm not at getting actually. Two fundamental lessons.
So pre-GST it was production-based taxation, and post-GST it is supply-based or the consumption-based taxation.
What do you mean by consumption?
It is on the when the goods are supplied. It is the taxation is collected in the state where the consumption of the goods is happening, not in the state where the production happens.
Okay, perfect. You mean to say that pre-GST it was an origin-based taxation and post-GST it is a destination-based taxation. Perfect. First point I got it. What is another important point?
Oh, supply, you can supply to anywhere India without any forms, without any restrictions.
Well, perfect. That is all the fundamental thing I needed. Fundamental thing, major change actually.
Streamline processes
Goods
through
and
use of online, entry of all the details. There is no need for personally going to the offices. Everything is done online.
Digitalization, basically. Digitalization is what you're trying to convey. Perfect. Next, please. One more important point actually.
Goods and services are clearly defined, sir.
To be honest, sir, still I don't see the differentiation.
No.
What is not good is service. Simple. Is that a definition we are expecting, sir? On a writer note. Yes, please. One more important fundamental difference is there between pre-GST and GST.
I think the most fundamental, government wants to reduce the cascading effect.
Yeah, perfect. Cascading effect of tax, we covered it. That is done. Okay. Another fundamental thing. And the fundamental thing.
Yes. Hit.
Another fundamental thing. Fundamental thing. Seamless availability of input tax credit across the supply chain, right? Previously, I was not able to VAT input tax credit while discharging my service tax liability, or I cannot use my excess duty credit or SENVAT credit to discharge my VAT liability. That was a major concern, right? We had actually seamless availability of ITC across the supply chain. Another important thing is doing away with the physical inspection for the vehicles when they're entering and exiting the state, and state level forms basically. Assuming if I have to ship goods from Kerala to Kanyakumari, it passes through host of states. At every state entry, I need to give a document. I need to give another document, the exit of the state. When I enter to the next state, again another set of document I need to give. And that was causing a lot of hardship for the logistics industry. Your min-max quantities are based on the time taken for delivery of the goods. Even that quantity we are supposed to hold high because of the extra time the vehicles were spending at the state entry level checkposts and exit checkposts. Now with today GST, do you see any serpentine queues of vehicles when you enter any state border? Now we don't see anything. It's a cakewalk actually. And there is one document called e-way bill, whether you're in Kerala or whether you are in Jammu Kashmir or whether you're in Assam or in Gujarat or in Madhya Pradesh. Simple document, carry the document, go through the truth, nobody questions you. That is the beauty of GST what we are having. So this is a fundamental difference, as many of you have rightly pointed out that for goods and services, we used to be governed and by different acts. In fact, service tax, we never had an act. It is part of the Finance Act only. But under GST, both are clubbed together, and though it is a single act, there is a differentiation between the goods and services. That is the reason we have different provisions in certain cases for goods and in certain cases for services. Now coming back to today's discussion point, supply. So we'll be discussing a very, very important topic called supply. In GST, if you ask me personally, there are 5 pillars. If we are clear with these 5 pillars, then the outcome of these 5 pillars is documentation, return, refund, and litigation. If I'm not clear with these 5 provisions, then the rest 4 is going to be a nightmare for any taxpayer. 5 provisions, if I'm perfect, then rest of the 4 is a simple cakewalk. The 4th one, litigation, will never arise for us if my 5 things are in place actually. Now, what are these 5 things? I request all of you to have a piece of paper and pen or a notebook and a pen so that when we discuss, you can jot down the important points. The 5 pillars of GST are supply, place of supply, time of supply, valuation, input tax credit. If I take any transaction, it will touch base with all these 5 pillars directly or indirectly.
So what is the first point? Input?
Input tax credit. These are my 5 pillars, foundation, fundamentals. Can a building stand if it does not have a proper foundation? No, right? Similarly, if I don't have knowledge of these 5 pillars, Whatever with the ambition you have joined this course, you cannot excel or achieve your targets. Now, let us understand what is supply. Before that, let us discuss about pre-GST era. Pre-GST era also we had all these things. Are you able to see my PPT, friends?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
But can you just increase the size, sir? It is coming little less.
No,
Make it
this
as
is
a full
the
screen.
maximum screen actually. This is the max screen. Maybe you're watching through mobile?
No, it's a laptop only. Can enable the full screen option is there if you can.
Yeah, this
try
is a
to
full screen
enable
only.
the
Maybe there's a buffering is there. I am shared the PPT on the presentation mode.
If you remove chat and other things, you will get a bigger screen for your viewing.
Yeah. So if you see here, I have three things basically at the top. I have something called manufacturing. I have something called sale. I have something called service. All these three were governed by different acts. When it comes to manufacturing, it was part of my Central Excise and Salt Act of 1944. Second one is sale, that is on sale of goods, that is under the state jurisdiction, that we used to call it as VAT, value added tax. Service, part of my finance bill. Taxes were levied on provision of services. So any transaction has to fit in between any of these three. And in some cases, there is an overlapping where there is supply of goods where there is sale of goods along with services. That's where we used to call it as works contract. So central excise, if I have 20 different manufacturing units in the country, I am interacting with 20 different authorities. VAT, if I have sales points across the country like Tata Motors, I need to take registration in each and every state, and based on the state's IT infrastructure, I had to file returns either manually or through system, and the formats and the requirements used to differ from state to state. Service tax, I had an option to take at national level, pan India level, or at zonal level. So we had to work with multiple tax departments, multiple forms, multiple provisions. That was creating a havoc for the businesses. That means in a positive manner, if I put, the ease of doing business is not that great. So whenever you talk of foreign direct investments, the first point comes is ease of doing business. To have a proper ease of doing business where you can garner more foreign direct investments, generate more employment, increase the GDP, and have a cascading effect, we need to adopt a lot of measures in this direction. As a part of that, we had the GST in place, we had the insolvency and bankruptcy code in place, because any foreign entity which wants to invest in India, they always want to see what is their exit route. Though as a commerce student and in a business, we always learn that business is a continuous activity. But end of the day, entrepreneurs will always see for an exit option. If conditions are not in favor, they don't want to bleed more. In such cases, they may prefer winding up the operations or change in the legislative policies. Like banks were nationalized. So how quickly they can dilute their share, take up the investments and go out of the country. That is where we had the IBCB in place actually. So keeping that apart, all these three terms, manufacture, sale and service, have been replaced with a single word called supply. And supply, as we discussed previously, it is distinct in case of goods and in case of services. Goods, I can see, I can feel, I can touch. I can physically move from one location to another location. But in case of services, that is not possible for me. It is intangible. That is the reason we have separate provisions. Though we call it as goods and services tax, the provisions are different here. Because one is tangible in nature and other one is intangible in nature. When it is intangible, I cannot have the provisions of tangibility applying in case of intangibility. That is the reason we have definitions separately for goods and services also, and we have provisions in time of supply specifically for services. Place of supply, again for goods and services, it is a different thing basically. Valuation, we have specific mechanism in case of valuation for services like insurance, banking, finance, telecom, and in banking specifically in case of foreign exchange, purchase and sale of foreign exchange. In all those cases, we have separate provisions. Input tax credit, again it is plus minus the same. Section 16, the conditions for availing input tax credit, we don't see a specific provision separately for goods or services. Yes, there is a provision in the section 16 where it talks about in case of goods received in lots or installments, input tax credit can be taken only when the final lot or installment is received. Other than that, in section 16, we don't see any other differentiation for goods and services. And when it comes to the supply, it is clearly defined. What is the treatment for goods and what is the treatment for services? What should be, which transaction should be qualified as a good, which transaction should be qualified as a service. So in today's session and tomorrow's session, we are going to spend ample amount of time in understanding what is supply, types of supply, what are exempted supplies, what are nil rated supplies, what are zero rated supplies, what is mixed supply, what is composite supply. That is my type of supplies. Once we are clear with all these provisions, then GST is a cakewalk for you guys. Now, if you see here, supply is there. Now, section 7 talks about supply. Today, if I ask you, any of you, what is your name? What will be your answer? What is your name? If I ask you in general.
Like my name is Sheshu.
You'll say my name is Seshu or Anuradha, or if you ask me, I'll say I'm Mallikarjun Gupta or I'm Indranil or something like that. But if you ask me what is supply, I cannot confidently tell you that supply is. Because the provisions of supply starts with an inclusive definition. So can somebody read the section 7 of the CGST Act? In the GST press, we have something called resources. In that resources, please navigate to the acts and then CGST Act and then levy and collection of tax, that is section chapter 3 from section 7 to section 11. Section 7 talks about scope of supply. And here if you see the first clause of section 7, it says for the purpose of this act. Now, what do you mean by this act? CGST Act. If I'm reading Maharashtra GST Act, it is MGST Act. If I'm reading for Bihar, it will be Bihar GST Act. If I read for Gujarat, it will be Gujarat GST Act. If I read it for Chandigarh, it will be Chandigarh Goods and Service Tax Act. The expression supply includes. It never said supply is. It says it includes. That means they're keeping the scope of supply for interpretation in a broad manner. It is very broad. What it says? All forms of supply of goods or services or both. See, wherever you see GST Act, it says goods or services or both. Either it is only sale goods or services or a combination of goods or services. Like it uses such as, like, such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal. Made or agreed to be made. The next section. For what? Consideration. And in which activities? In the course or furtherance of business. If I undertake any transaction which is falling in the above 8 or anything beyond 8, if it is done today or if you are delivering it after 2 years, whether you receive in kind or in cash, whether you use it in your day-to-day activities or for your future activity, it will be treated as a supply. See, the craftsmen, when I say here craftsmen, the policy makers or the draft persons who have drafted this act, they have done it in a very beautiful manner to put away litigation. But it introduces litigation indirectly. Now, if you've seen this Mohit Mineral case, right? The Honorable Apex Court has given it recently that in the case of Mohit Minerals case, on freight it is part of my composite supply and GST is not applicable. But the department's contention was that it is part of supply. Of course, they have missed out on what basis it has been called as a supply. They've never gone through that. That is a separate discussion. So when we are reading the supply definition, we need to touch base with couple of other definitions also. First, we will understand this supply definition. Then we will read couple of another important definitions under GST. Sale.
Sir,
I purchased 10 laptops and I'm selling 10 laptops.
Sir, can I ask you one doubt, sir?
Yeah, please.
Sir, in GST press, where to see the definition, sir, actually?
In the GST press, once you open the app, right?
Yes, sir.
You have at the bottom 5 icons are there in red. News, yes. Resources, deadline, search me, right? Go yes, to the sir. Resources tab. There okay. You can see acts updated, right? Up to 18/8/23.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Click on that and click on CGST.
Okay.
And come to the third chapter, that is review and correction. Click on section 7, scope of supply.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So sale, I'm selling goods. So on that, GST is applicable. That is why it is called supply under GST. Transfer. I have a depot, I have a manufacturing unit in Nasik, and I'm selling it through my depot in Trivandrum. If I need to sell the goods which are manufactured in my Nasik factory, I need to transfer the goods because the legal entity is same for me. I am only moving the goods from Nasik to Trivandrum. That is called transfer. I am transferring my goods from one depot to another depot, from one manufacturing unit to another manufacturing unit. Or I'm transferring my assets from one location to another location. That is called transfer. Then I have something called barter. Now, can somebody give me an example for barter?
So like if I'm giving the goods to the person who can promote my goods, so that barter goods I'm giving him to promote my goods as a free goods to him.
No, sir, that is not technically a barter. That amount is
It's a,
transferred
Barter
from
means that
actually.
can I give an example?
Yeah, please, sir, please.
See, like these PSUs, I know, like let's say Vizag steel plant, Durgapur steel plant.
Right.
What they do is that when they have cash flow issues, okay, and let's say we have supplied some items to them. I have done for Durgapur steel plant, I know for
Right.
sure, but not in this GST era.
Yes.
What they do is that they said that, okay, see, you go to these iron merchant dealers, okay, and you collect your money from there. Okay, so you have supplied, let's say, some control valves for,
Right.
let's say, one of the plants,
Hmm.
about let's say 50 lakhs.
Right.
So what they do is they give us a this thing document. They say that you go and find out these dealers who will give you cash, and instead of we take our money from them, and with that document they buy steel from Durgapur steel plant. So this is a barter system. This
Right.
of course happens, happens.
Twice you're taking this one basically. So let me
Yeah.
give you a small example for ease of understanding. Say for example, I am having a piece of land. Okay, I'll come to that subsequently. Suppose I'm having two printers with me, and each printer is costing say 25,000 rupees. And one of you is having mobile phones. That is also costing 25,000 rupees. I will say I'll give you my printer. Will you give me your mobile phone? So in this case, there is exchange of goods is happening, but money is not flowing actually. Am I paying any money to you? No, I'm just giving my printer, and in turn you're giving me your mobile phone. This used to happen before the invention of currency. So people used to trade in goods only. That is what we call as barter system. Goods to goods. Directly, no question of money involved here basically. So that is the reason why barter is also bought under GST net. Reason is, in service tax era, we had lot of litigation. Even now with the one in the apex court, one judgment is pending because of that service tax issue are still hanging in fire. The same applies to GST also according to some of the professionals. But according to me, that service tax issue does not happen here. Let me give you an example. I have a 500 square yards of land, say in South Delhi, and I don't have money to construct in that 500 square yards of land. A builder comes to me and says that, Gupta ji, आपके पास 500 गज का जगह है. Let us do one thing. I will build in the 20 apartments. 23 BHK flats I'll put construct in that 500 square yards. You give me 12 and I'll retain 8. Are you able to see my PPT, friends?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, you can
No,
see
sir.
your face.
Yeah, suddenly there is some issue. It says that my role has been changed actually. And I don't even have the share option now. Just give me a moment. I'll Yeah, sorry friends, there is some tech issue. It looks like I've spoken to the organizers. They're fixing that. In the meantime, let us discuss our discussion actually. So here, in that 20 flats, I'm not investing a single penny. The builder comes and he is returning 12 and he's giving me 8. End of the day, is there any cash transaction happening between me and the builder? No.
No, sir.
No.
So under service tax era, in service tax finance act, they use something called money should be there for a transaction. It is to be taxed as service. Now when there is no money involved between me and my builder, can service tax be levied on the, technically speaking? No. So keeping that litigation in mind, they said that let us also include barter, so that all such transactions get taxed under GST. Whenever builders used to get notice that GST service tax is applicable, the professionals used to say, sir, look here, there is no involvement of money. So where is the question of service tax applicability and levy coming for us? So if a show cause notice is issued, it has to be within the four walls of the framework of the law. The department's contention is, no, there is an amount of consideration being in form of kind is going on. That is why it has to be taxed. So keeping that past litigations, department said that let us put an end to all this litigation by bringing barter transactions also under GST. That is why barter has been introduced. The next one is exchange. Say for example, I have this mobile phone and I wanted to upgrade my mobile phone to the upcoming launch of iPhone iOS 15 or 16 version, whatever is that. So let us assume I found that it will be very helpful and within my budget. I go to Mac stores, Apple store directly, or I go to any of the dealers of Mac, Apple, and say that I need an iPhone. He will tell me it is 1,18,000 or 1,20,000 including GST. I will ask him, is there any exchange scheme or offer running there? I'll give you my old phone which is in working condition. To what extent you will adjust it for my final price? Let us say being this as a new phone and which I bought it for 35K, he says that since it is hardly 2 months old, I'll give you 20K. So in place of 1,18,000, I'll be paying him only 98,000 rupees. That is 20,000 rupees in exchange of my old phone. So what used to happen in the pre-GST era is VAT was levied in most of the states on 98,000 only. Whatever this exchange, my old phone, that was not coming under the tax bracket for levy of VAT. So in GST, what they said is, look here, whether you give me in money or you give me in kind or cash, I don't bother. When you're exchanging goods, for part in goods and part in money, it has to be taxed. So after the implementation of GST, I'm paying GST on 1,18,000 rupees, not on 98,000 rupees. License.
Excuse me, I have one doubt here. In coming
Please.
to exchange, scope of supply, nowadays there is a 1+1 offer. This 1+1 offer, it is coming under the exchange.
No. See, that itself is an offer. I'll come to you when we discuss about those topics basically in the valuation. It's a very valid question. Exchange is different, offer is different. Offer is when you pay for X, you will get Y. When you pay for X, when you pay for, let us say, if you pay for 2 Lux soaps, you'll get 2 Lux soaps in as additional offer, right? If you don't pay this for this 2 Lux soaps, will you get the other 2 Lux soaps? No, right? So that is different and this is different. So when you're paying to your supplier, some portion in cash and some portion in kind. So in our example, 1,18,000 is a mobile phone. New iPhone costing 1,18,000 rupees. I'm paying him 20,000 in form of my old mobile phone. I'm exchanging my old mobile phone, paying extra amount. That is called exchange. Is it clear, sir?
Okay. Yes, it is clear.
So I have one question in exchange. When I'm exchanging my old phone, like the value of 20,000, so it should be 20,000 plus GST of the price of that phone, which I'm exchanging with the.
No, see, I'll tell you, whether you give the phone values 20,000 or 15,000 or 5,000 rupees, ultimately you will pay money to that extent less, right?
Right.
So here 1,18,000 plus 18% GST. So instead of paying 1,18,000 plus GST in full cash, you will pay minus 20,000 in cash and 20,000 on in form of a mobile phone.
All right. Good.
But whereas seller supposed to raise any self invoice for the buyback of the any exchange phone.
See, that is an accounting entry basically. It is not a self invoice, practically speaking. He is purchasing from you, right?
Okay.
So when you make a purchase, you make a separate accounting entry. When you make a sale, you make a separate accounting entry. Here you have a sale for 1 lakh, say in our example, let's rephrase it to 1 lakh plus 18% GST. So it will be 1,18,000 as a sale and 20,000 as a purchase. Subsequently, he will knock off the debtors and creditors to finalize the transaction. Or else if you raise an invoice for 1,18,000 rupees and I pay him only 98,000 rupees, that 20,000 will remain as outstanding, right?
But in this case, while purchase, assume that his accounting transaction is purchase means he can't get an input tax credit on this, na?
So whether you're registered, no, 1 second. If he has to get input tax credit, if you're going as an individual, will you give a tax invoice for that?
Because of as a see by exchange person can't give any invoice because of he is an unregistered person. He is
So
an
there will be no
individual.
input tax credit, right? It's a fundamental question. Input tax
Correct. In this
comes only
case,
when you pay tax on purchases.
ultimately output tax he is reducing or he is paying.
Output tax is paying on 1 lakh only, right?
Fine, fine. In this case, okay. So he is paying on full amount, not on the exchange amount.
Yeah, that's what I told you, right? 1 lakh plus, right? Okay.
Fine, understood, understood.
Right,
Thank you.
perfect. Then we have license. Now, what is this license? Now we know that sometime back, right? We had the pandemic in place and everybody were struggling. And during that time, AstraZeneca has come up with a license. And then we had sorry. So we had this license being manufactured by Serum Institute. So for Serum Institute to manufacture, they need to have a license from this AstraZeneca, right? Oxford AstraZeneca. So they used to pay some X amount for every ampoule of vaccine manufactured. So that is license. On that also GST is applicable. Rental. I am taking my commercial office space for rent or godown for rent. On that GST is applicable. Lease. I wanted to set up a manufacturing unit. Say I wanted to set up a chip manufacturing unit in Gujarat. So the government of Gujarat will give me land on lease. On that lease, I need to pay GST. Disposal. Say for example, I am running an IT company where I have 100 people working with me. And I started this company, let us assume in 2019. And today we are in 2023. So when I started my company 2019, I have purchased say 50 laptops. And after 4 years, obviously this 450 laptops will be not giving perfect performance for me. And I purchased those laptops, I booked it as an expense, I capitalized it in my books of accounts, I claimed the input tax credit. Now if I sell these laptops, the dealer says, sir, you may get only 3,000 rupees per laptop. I'm not happy with that. Being a corporate, what will I do with 3,000 rupees for 50 laptops? I hardly get only 1,50,000 rupees. Whereas my new laptop is costing me not less than 1 lakh. I'll tell one of my colleagues in the office, HR basically, why don't we give these laptops to any of the government schools or orphanage where kids can use it? He says, yes, it's a good idea. Let's go and give these laptops to that government school. So here, what am I doing? Am I selling those laptops to the government school? No. I am disposing of my asset without any consideration. It is part of my fixed assets. Since I'm no longer going to use it, I'm giving it in free of cost in form of charity to the government school. I'm disposing of my assets from my fixed assets register. On that also GST is applicable.
We have to generate invoice.
Sorry?
We have to generate invoice for that?
Yes, we have to generate invoice.
On what value?
Or whether it is a book value or the nominal market value, whichever is higher.
Okay.
See, the problem is many of us are. Yeah, please tell me.
What is the purpose of the tax in this case then, when it is given away as disposal and actually good for the environment
It's
and
good for
everything?
the society, right? From a charity point of view, you're 100% right. But from a compliance point of view, from a tax point of view, are you putting that asset to use in your business? You're no longer using that asset in your business, right? Then can you take ITC on that in such a case?
Can you? What is that?
input tax credit, ITC. Because you have already taken
Okay.
ITC at the time of purchase, right? Now we are no
Correct.
longer using them.
So it will be billed to whose name?
So you can raise a self. You see, if you raise an invoice to the government school, will they pay you money?
No, but
No.
no. The bill to and ship to will be ship to bill to and ship to will be in which name? My question.
Ship to will be your government school. Bill to will be self billing basically.
Self meaning this. I have to write self billing.
One more.
What is the nomenclature?
No, self billing means on your name only you bill it, right?
I'm not clear.
See, it's a fixed asset. It's not it's used for the business. You're purchasing laptops for use in the business. If you're not in the business of making laptops, it is just one of the fixed assets.
Right.
So why would you take
no, but
I mean,
the laptops are used in the course of business, right? So you're eligible to take ITC, right?
Yeah.
Okay. See, you're not using it for personal purpose, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Coming back to one of
more
the
thing,
person's
sir.
question on whose name invoice should be raised. You can raise it on any name, basically like a bill.
Any name on any government name, bill to ship to also we can raise by creating one customer code. Okay, we can raise on bill to ship to also. Practical purpose,
exactly.
normally we're doing the same practice.
Yeah, but only thing is they will not get money in back again, basically.
See, then what as a finance person, then another accounting entry will
One
get
second, sir. You need to wear the hat of a taxation guy first and then the accounts guy. You are clear on the taxation front, right? Or you have still confusion on the taxation front?
No.
No, taxation. No. One second. Let us not put multiple hats at the same time. From a taxation perspective, is it clear for you? My fundamental question.
Yeah, correct.
Now coming to the accounting, right?
Yeah.
Now you need to pay tax. If you have to pay tax under GST, you need to raise an invoice. Now, if you raise an invoice on the government school, will they give the money for you?
No.
What will you do in normal course if your customer does not pay money?
We'll take the approvals from the management and we'll write off.
Same
transfer
thing.
to the
No,
some
we will
expenses.
expense out.
Same thing, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. Where is the confusion coming for you? See, always take a transaction, dissect it accordingly, and come to a conclusion. We talk about point number 1, we jump to point number 10, we come back to point 3. That is where the confusion comes for us actually. Go step by step, take a piece of paper, write the steps for the transaction, then evaluate it from a compliance point of view, from accounting point of view, from India's point of view, from internal reporting, everything will be resolved. Until unless you don't put it on a piece of paper, all your problems will be forever hanging in air. Misunderstanding, miscommunication, wrong accounting entries, audit observations, queries from the department. This is what is going to happen in the normal course of business. Yeah, somebody is asking a question, please.
Sir, I have one question. Sir, means any goods distributed under a CSR, that is a corporate social responsibility, are they also taxable under GST?
When you mean by taxable, are you meaning at the time of purchase or at the time of sale of those goods? If somebody
at the time of sale or at the the time of giving to the charity kind of thing, sir. I mean, means at the time of distributing goods to the society, that time.
Fine, perfect. So when you purchase, you have to pay GST, right? Is there any exemption on for CSR purchases? No. Now the next question comes, can I take ITC or not? Is that your question, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, okay. Now, how is CSR amount computed? How is CSR amount computed?
don't have idea about that, sir.
After your profits, right? After you determine your profit, right? Or before you determine profit, CSR is a percentage on profit, right?
Right, sir. Right, sir.
That is profit after tax, right?
Right, sir.
So then how can you take ITC on that? It is an item below the P&L or below the profit or above the profit?
Below the profit.
It's a PBIT. It's a PBIT.
It is profit after tax, right? So do you take income tax benefit for CSR expenditure? No, right?
No.
Then how can you take ITC on that when it is not a business related activity?
Okay. Okay, sir.
See, we need to see it in a logically. Many people, what happens is you don't see it logically. And this is what is a circular also has been issued recently, which clearly stated that actually, how am I computing my CSR amount? Only after paying my income tax and profit, right? Profit after tax, right?
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Yeah. Answers your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So might be while dealing with the section 17 of FINA, people will understand all these things, sir.
No, that will never come there also. Blocked credit does not discuss this point actually.
But it's a negative listener, sir. Negative. Section 17 speaks up to negative listener.
CSR is not part of blocked credit, sir.
Of course, of course.
Right? So now we have seen.
I have sorry, I have one question. Question. Can you explain the logic behind GST on transfer once more?
GST on transfer. Okay. Now, if you go back to my example, what are the two cities I've taken?
You took somewhere in the south and
Nasik and Trivandrum.
Nasik and Trivandrum, right? Two cities. Both are in which states?
Of course, Kerala.
Nasik in Maharashtra, Trivandrum in Kerala.
Trivandrum in Kerala and Nasik in Maharashtra, right? And one of the fundamental difference when I asked in the initial round of the session is GST is a destination based taxation. That means where the goods are consumed, that state should get the GST benefit, right? So when I move goods from Nasik to Trivandrum, which state should get the tax benefit? Maharashtra or Kerala?
Kerala. But the same, it's the same company. Whether
same company, but my GST number is different, right? My PAN number is same. I agree with you, ma'am, but my GST number is different, right?
Yes.
That is why on transfer, GST is applicable, ma'am.
Okay.
Got it, ma'am?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Sir, one more question on disposal.
Yeah, please.
Sir, after raising the invoice, what we discussed before,
right,
we have to file GSTR1 for that invoice.
Yes, you need to file it into GSTR1 exactly, or else how do you pay tax?
So in our self GST number, we have to pay.
Yeah, either in self or you make it as a B2C walk-in customer, B2C, right? In B2C, do you report it in GSTR1? Customer wise? No, right? It's a consolidated amount, right? Right. Yeah. So now we have seen.
Sir.
Yeah.
So one more question.
Yeah, please.
Sir, got the capital expenditure. Input tax credit can be taken by us, is not.
Sir, what topic are we discussing now, sir?
On capital goods, you have given an example regarding the laptops.
No. I used capital goods given in charity.
Charity, okay. It is not a supply. No tax should be levied.
So here we are talking about ITC on capital expenditure. Both are different topics.
I'm just asking about capital.
Yeah, both are different
it
topics,
is
sir. When we discuss ITC, we'll discuss set length in that basically.
okay.
I said you 5 pillars, right? In the beginning, 5 pillars of GST. I'm still at first pillar. I've not reached the 5th pillar.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. Now, if you see the GST definition, such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, lease, rental, license, and disposal. So anything beyond this 8 also can be considered as supply down the line if something comes up. Can you think of one particular transaction on which GST is applicable, which is not falling part of these 8 transaction types? Can you think of one such transaction?
Promotional goods given for promotion
No, ma'am.
on.
That is part of offer or exchange. That is indirectly part of supply only. Good attempt. Perfect. Think. All of you are matured enough, working in senior positions, reading newspapers.
Sir, interest on corporate deposits?
Interest on corporate deposit.
Yes, ICD. That is interest.
Now,
That is
corporate deposits, it is interest, right? Is interest taxable under GST? No.
No.
It is exempted, right?
Yes. Thank you.
But if you are in South Africa, then it is taxable if you are not charging any interest. On that, GST is applicable. They call it as VAT in South Africa. Just to avoid money laundering or transfer of money from one company to another group company and misuse of the loans, they've introduced that provision in South Africa there, way back in 2006 or 7 frame time. Yeah. Think about any good example.
Interest on advance, sir.
No.
Advance.
Interest, right? Any type of interest other than credit card interest is exempted from levy of GST.
Employee benefits in the sense that.
No. No. Employee benefits, no.
Maybe a purchase of intangible assets like copyrights.
No, on that also GST is applicable.
सर इन स्टेशनरी मतलब जो बुक्स होती हैं मतलब
printed books exempted from GST, printed books exempted from stationery, that is sale of books, right? वो सेल में आ गए ना मेरा.
Yes, sir.
Like supply to the any specified government projects or local authorities.
वो तो सेल हो गया ना सर वो तो. I am supplying to Antariksh Corporation, I am supplying to ISRO. हो गए ना वो तो सप्लाई हो गए ना. I am selling it to them, they're giving me money. Then why did the lawmakers make this an inclusive definition?
Sir, royalty.
Royalty, now that is hanging sword in the Supreme Court actually. Whether tax has to be levied on royalty or not, we are waiting for the Honorable Supreme Court judgment.
But currently it is taxable if we are charging royalty to anyone.
Yeah, but there is a dispute in the service tax actually. So we are waiting for the apex court judgment in this case actually.
But in service tax reason, while applying the DTAA, we are paying the service tax under the RCM, sir.
Sir, that is where people have moved to the courts actually.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Think about it. I just got a message from the technical team that they're asking me to log out and log in once. In the meantime, please start thinking on it. Yeah, I'm just logging off now. I'll join immediately. Yeah, still I don't have that option. Sorry, friends, there is some technical glitch. Are you able to hear me now, friends?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, the technical glitch is there. Sorry, I'm helpless now. So I cannot show you my screen, but I can keep explaining you everybody. Yeah. Now, if you see here, yeah, tell me that example for that. Why did the lawmakers make it such an odd thing actually? Yes, please.
Can you assume that it's a some gifts from the friends, gifts from the
No.
relatives,
नहीं वो गिफ्ट वो
movable
अलग हो जाता है ना
properties?
गिफ्ट ठीक है टू सम एक्सटेंट आई परचेज दैट आइडिया एक गिफ्ट हो सकता है बोल रहे ठीक है नेक्स्ट
Disaster relief given.
Sorry ma'am.
Disaster relief expenses.
That's part of my charity only, right?
Charity.
So whether on charity should GST be applicable or not? May be perfect. That is one example it can be. Next. Any other example?
Medical services, sir?
No, medical services are exempted from taxation. Yes, please tell me. Yeah, okay. Cryptocurrency. Have you heard of this term?
Yes.
Bitcoins. So should I
Bitcoins.
levy GST on purchase and sale of Bitcoins?
No. Yes.
But it is under the income tax as of now. It is not coming under the GST.
Who said it is not part of GST? Who said, sir? Why it is not part of GST? How can we assume that it is not part of GST? Anything to be not to be taxed in GST, it has to be part of my exemption notification, right? Is it part of my exemption notification?
No.
That means it is taxable, right? Either it should be exempted or it should be a non-GST supply, right? Then only on that transaction, on those particular goods or services, GST is not applicable.
Right, sir.
Or the third one
In
is
such case, all
classified as securities or money, right?
Absolutely right.
It's not falling any of these categories, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
That means then you have to pay GST on cryptos also, basically on cryptocurrencies, technically speaking. But the next roadblock what we will hit is whether it is to be classified as a good or a service. Then only my tax rate will come into picture, right? Yes or no?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we have umpteen number of judgments also for that. It has to be treated as goods only. If it is goods, if I'm purchasing cryptocurrencies from, sorry. If it is goods, then am I raising a bill of entry for that? That's a separate story. It's all a big debatable topic there actually. Let's not get into that. So keeping that future in mind, they've made it as an open-ended clause. How many of you worked in the service tax era?
I am partially in the goods and partially in the services.
Right. In the service tax era, if you all remember, right, when it started in the early 90s, it started with three set of services. Year on year, it started increasing the number of services. And then there was a flash point between the department and the taxpayers. Department says it is taxable. Industry says it is not taxable because of the interpretation issues. To overcome that, they have given a negative list. They said instead of giving the list of transactions on which service tax is applicable, now we'll give you a list of transactions on which service tax is not applicable. Negative list we call it, right? Could somebody recollect that statement? Negative list.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
So if anything there is a negative list, then it is not taxable. That means all other services which are not part of my negative list are taxable under service tax. Now tomorrow I don't know what is going to come with this world happening in such a way that new things are coming up. Did anybody of us at least think in our rarest of the wild dreams that sitting at home I can order my groceries or food or apparel or books or anything 15-20 years back?
Never.
Never, right?
Yes.
Now that is where we had the e-commerce operator coming into picture now. Aggregator, tax is being levied on aggregators, right? So tomorrow we don't know what is going to crop up. Instead of opening the act, going through the parliamentary procedures and then enacting it, they kept it open. So future, if any transaction comes, I can tax it very easily because supply is an inclusive definition. So we need to be very careful under GST. Though the intentions of the lawmakers are good, but from us, from a professional point of view, it is going to be a very big headache for us.
Now we have NFTs also.
Yes, exactly. NFTs also we have.
Physical, not physically seen.
Yes. So we have to be very careful on all these aspects basically because GST is a inclusive definition. Right? Now, if I go to the third portion of my definition, subsection 1, it says made or agreed to be made. whether you are supplying today or you supply for a future date. I don't care, you pay me tax. That means I'm entering into a contractual agreement where I'm telling that I'm going to supply these goods or services for you after 2 years. When I receive money on advances, it has to be charged. That is why they said if you are agreeing to supply at a future date and you're receiving consideration, GST is applicable. For a consideration made or agreed to be made for a consideration. Now, what is consideration? Can somebody tell me? Can somebody quickly go back to the section 2 and read out the definition of consideration? GST press is there, right? With all of you know. Yes, please. Subsection 31 of section 2.
Okay, I can read if you want me to.
Yeah, please read out.
Yeah.
Consideration is related to supply of goods or services or both includes any payment made or to be made, whether in money or otherwise, in respect of, in response to, or for the inducement of, or the supply of goods or services are both whether by the recipient or by any other person, but shall not include the any subsidy given by the central government or state government.
So if you read it carefully here, let's take a pause here before we go to subsection B. Payment made or to be made, whether in money or otherwise. Money or otherwise, it means it can be in kind or it can be in cash in a layman's parlance. So that is why we had in exchange example, right? GST has to be paid on phone also, because I'm giving some portion of the iPhone in cash and some portion in form of my old phone. So money or otherwise, kind or cash. But it does not include subsidy given by the state or central government. So the definition is put down the all litigations of the service tax, because the Finance Act uses the word money everywhere. So when money is used, kind was not coming into picture, and that was the root cause of all the litigation in service tax. They've nailed it once for all actually. Now whether we just now talked about cryptocurrency, right? Whether I pay in money or in cryptocurrencies, it don't mind, you need to pay GST for me on that. Of course, cryptocurrencies is not part of the money as per the definition given by the RBI Act. That's a separate thing actually. So that is the reason we say on cryptos also GST is applicable. Yes, please. Subclause B.
Yeah, the monetary value of any act or forbearance in respect of, in response to, or for the inducement of the supply of goods or services or both, whether by the recipient or by any other person, but shall not include any subsidy given by the central government or a state government.
Right. Now, I just missed out one more point. It uses the word whether by the recipient or by any other person. Suppose I've sold goods to Pratik ji. So Pratik ji is supposed to give me money, right? It does not matter whether Pratik ji pays me or Rajesh ji pays me or Bhupender ji pays me. It will be treated as a consideration and his invoice will be closed. So it need not be the person who purchased the goods should pay me. Even a third party can pay me. See how beautifully they have crafted the definitions here basically. Putting an end to all the litigations basically. Over a period of time, what are the litigations? We have seen it, the judgments they have seen it, and the experiences they've used it and crafted these definitions actually. So for the forbearance of any act, if any money is paid, that is also treated as consideration. And the proviso for the definition, can somebody read it? The proviso. Guys, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Provided that a deposit given in respect of the supply of goods or services or both shall not be considered as payment made for such supply unless the supplier applies such deposit as consideration for the said supply.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Now coming here, in the introduction time, somebody said one of you are from the infra company, right? So an infra company, right? Say for example, I'm part of the corridor which is being built between the Bombay, Delhi, where the transfer movement of goods. So I bidded a tender and I got it for construction of 100 kilometers of road. And for that, mobilization advance, I'm be receiving it, right? So
Yeah.
on
We are
mobilization,
getting it.
sorry?
Yeah, we are getting that mobilization. That aspect we are facing every day.
Yes. So on my mobilization advance, do I need to pay GST?
Yes.
Perfect. Then what about my security deposit? So to get the tender right, I need to give them security deposit.
EMD.
Yeah, EMD is there other than EMD, or I need to give a performance guarantee or a BG, right?
Yeah, BG we are giving. Performance guarantee BG we are giving.
So in form of money, or you're giving in form of BG, right? So that your working capital is managed appropriately, right?
Yeah, banking, we are managing the banking part.
Yeah, NBFC, non-fund based limit actually you're using basically.
Yes.
Now security deposit. Sometimes when you give to contracts, you take some security deposit, right?
No.
So in general, I'm talking about in the industry for execution of a contract.
Yes, we do take the securities, or we do give the security deposit.
Yes. So on that security deposit, GST is not applicable.
No interest for security.
Yes, on security deposit, GST is not applicable. Please keep that mind in very, very clearly. On that, when tax is applicable, if that security deposit is being adjusted against the supply, then only it is applicable. So on security deposit, if you receive security deposit, say for example, I wanted to apply for Hindustan Unilever as a C&F agent in Telangana region. They say you give me 50 lakh security deposit or 5 crore security deposit, right? We normally take it from our dealers and distributors, right? So for that, GST is not applicable.
Sir, whereas you are paying in interest and security deposit, that is coming at supply, sir, again?
No interest other than credit card interest is not applicable for GST, right?
Okay.
Any form of interest other than credit card interest, GST is not applicable. Any interest, please keep that point very, very clear in your mind. Whether ICDs or bank deposits or in security deposit or any form of interest.
So even in a loan,
sorry,
when the company gives a loan to the other company and charge the interest on that loan
sir,
payment.
what type of interest is that? What type of interest is that? Is it falling
on
from
loans,
the credit card loan?
No.
Then it is not applicable, right?
All right, sir.
Then it is not applicable. Whether you give in form of ICDs or a loan or whatever name you call it, when interest is levied other than in case of credit card interest, there is no GST. Whatever name you call it, please keep that in mind. We cannot reach the 10,000 or 100 lines of laundry list. We are all professionals, right? We need to do that interpretation very, very carefully. So
yes, sir, you are right. Like personal loans and housing loans interest, they are not charging. Whereas coming to credit card interest, now they are charging GST. Yes.
Right, perfect, right? You got the answer right now. Yeah. Now let us take one more definition. Can somebody talk about the definition of business? Business. Definition of business. Business. Can somebody read this definition of business?
Sir, business includes any trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, vocation, adventure, wager, or any other similar activity, whether or not it is for pecuniary benefit. Any benefit or transaction in connection with or incidental or ancillary to the above.
Okay, fine. Let us take a small pause here. What is business? Any trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, vocation, adventure, wager, or any other similar activity, whether or not. See here also, any other similar activity. Similar to trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, vacation, adventure, wager. If it is not similar, then it is not business. Whether it is whether or not for a pecuniary benefit, whether money is received or not, it does not matter. It will be treated as a business, and on that GST is applicable. Why I'll tell you whether money is received or not, I'm going to discuss in next half an hour actually. Okay. See how the interlinking in the definitions and the provisions will go hand in hand. If we don't appreciate where it is being used, we cannot excel in GST provisions. So clause B.
Apologies, sir.
Sorry?
Sir, apology. Can you help me where you are reading this definition, because I'm lost somewhere. I'm in GST press. Where you are reading this definition?
Subsection 2. Section 2, subsection 17. Go to GST press, resources, acts, CGST.
Yes, sir.
In that definitions, subsection 17, section 2, subsection 17.
Sir, I'm in a CGST. There's earlier we are in that section 7 to 11, right?
Yeah, come back.
Okay.
Come back. You're reading section 11, you have to go back to section 2 actually.
Got it, sir. Got it.
Yeah. So any activity or transaction related to clause A will be treated as business. Any activity or transaction in nature of subclause A, whether or not there is volume, frequency, continuity, or regularity of such transaction. A classic example. Can somebody give me a classic example for clause C? Whether there is volume, frequency, or a one-time activity, whether you do it once in a while, I don't care. It is treated as a business. That is what the law says. The intent of the law here is I don't care whether it happens repeatedly or once in a while. I don't care. Whenever you sell something on that, GST is applicable. I am using the word very, very carefully and cautiously. I don't care. This is what is the essence of the clause C. Say, for example, I am a trader. I am trading in furniture. I purchased a vehicle in the company's name. I purchased the car in the company name. I have not taken input tax credit. Now I am selling that car. Is GST applicable on that sale of car? Tell me now.
No, it's not applicable, sir.
Why?
You have not taken it.
It
As
is
you have not
applicable.
taken ITC.
It doesn't care because it is specifically blocked under section 17.
But as a furniture business, supply of the furniture, he need the for making the transportation, he need the vehicle. In such vast definition of input tax credit, he is eligible to claim the input tax.
1 second. I said car. I have not said trolley truck or LCV or HCV.
Okay. Oh, okay. Car. That's fine. Yes, car.
And use the word motorcycle. Use the word car.
It is the same example like laptops. We have purchased laptop for a company, and after that we just dispose of that laptop. We are paying GST on that.
Right.
When we are disposing the things.
See, if you read it carefully, right? Any activity or transaction in nature of subclause A, whether or not there is a volume, sale of my car, do I have any volume in the sale of cars? No, right? Do I sell it frequently? No, right? I keep on selling it regular intervals? No, right? But still it is treated as a business, and on that GST is applicable. Many people, when they're selling the second-hand cars, especially when they purchase it in the company's name or firm's name or partnership firm's name, they are not charging GST. Because it is a part of sale or not. Do you agree or not?
Yes.
Reading the definition of supply and reading the definition of business, is sale on car GST is applicable or not? Please think. Is it applicable or not, friends?
Sir, but the core of business of that firm is not selling of cars, no, sir?
So what does clause C talk about? What does clause C talk about?
Any so it is a volume or frequency or continuously or regularly, any activity if he is performing, it is
whether
coming
it is
under
there
supply.
or not, I don't care. The essence is I don't care, right?
Yes, got it.
That is why I use the word I don't care. आप भेजा तो टैक्स जमा करो, बस उतना ही है. Whether you're selling that cars very regularly or you're selling once in a blue moon day or once in 10 years, I don't care, you pay tax. The essence of that subsection C is this only actually. D, can somebody read out D provision?
Supply or acquisition of goods including capital goods and services in connection with commencement or closure of business.
Yes. Whenever I want to set up a business, I may start from the scratch or may take over an existing company, right? When I purchase an existing company, that will be treated as business activity and on that GST is applicable. Or when I'm closing my business, when I sell my goods, even in that case also it will be treated as business and GST is applicable. Now let
sir,
me
whereas coming to a small note, sir, whereas coming to like a commencement or closure of the business, well, acquisition, what about goodwill part, sir, here?
On that also GST is applicable. On that also GST is applicable.
Okay.
Now let me give you an example. Company A is there. It has defaulted in payment of loans for 3 consecutive quarters. I understand there is an ex-banker, so please correct me whether it is 3 quarters or 2 quarters. If I don't pay the loan, that will be treated as an NPA. Once it is treated as an NPA, if amount is not realized, bankers can go to NCLT and file an application for insolvency. Once an application for insolvency is filed and approved by the NCLT, then an insolvency professional will be appointed. Sorry, resolution professional will be appointed. The resolution professional will take over the control of the business and he'll start running the business. He will appoint the professional management and he'll start running the business. In case if that is not possible, then an insolvency professional will be applied. The resolution professional will file an application again with the NCLT bench. It says that I cannot run the business because there is huge issues in the business which cannot be restructured and cannot be run by professionals also. The only option left is to sell this business. So there is an insolvency professional comes into picture and he sells the assets. When the insolvency professional sells the assets, as per the IBC provisions, an auction has to be conducted. When the auction is conducted, it will be listed as is, where is basis. So when it is as is, where is basis, even in such cases, is GST applicable or not? Selling of assets or the selling of the company by the insolvency professional, will it amount to closure of business or not?
GST is applicable.
Yes, GST is applicable. There was a lot of difference of opinion, but whenever I interact with the IBC professionals, I tell them very categorically and clearly. Another core area of my specialization is interferences between insolvency and GST. Another important area which I also do advisory and consulting is on Ind AS and GST implications. And trust me, friends, I never do any of the return filing services. I'm not at all into return filing services. I'm purely into litigation advisory and advocacy only. litigation, advocacy. That is where we have money as a professional. Next, E. Provision by a club, association, society, or any such body for a subscription or any other consideration for the facilities or benefits to its members. If you have seen here the Rotary Club case on the subscription fee and on the goods sold by the club to its members, whether GST is applicable, it is applicable because it is business. Admission for a consideration of a persons to any premises. If I want to watch an IPL match, or if I want to attend a formula race, or if I want to attend any of these cultural events or dance shows or performance shows, I need to pay entry ticket. On that, GST is applicable. Service supplied by a person as the holder of an office which has been accepted by him in the course or furtherance of his trade, profession, or vocation. An MSME is there. They cannot afford a full-time CFO. I have joined them as a virtual CFO. So as a virtual CFO, do I need to raise a GST invoice or not to the company where I'm working, where I'm advising? Tell me, guys.
Yes, you have to raise the GST invoice to the person.
Provided my threshold is below 20 lakhs. Yeah, about 20 lakhs, sorry.
Yes.
Then
So
comes my hedge. Yeah, sorry, tell me.
If my annual income as a profession, if my annual income above than 20 lakhs, there is a mandatory to take the GST number.
If it is below 20 lakhs and if you are not in the hill states, then it is not required. If it is hill states, then it is 10 lakhs.
Okay.
Yeah. Clear?
Clear, sir.
Yeah, activities of a race club, including by way of totalizer or a license to bookmaker, or activities of a licensed bookmaker in such a club. Here there is a dispute again in the horse racing basically. In gambling, GST is applicable, but on what value? Is it on the bet amount, or is it on the amount you have received if you have won the bet? The law is very clear. It says on the amount you have won. On that, GST is applicable. Any activity or transaction undertaken by the central government or a state government or any local authority in which they are engaged as public authorities, on that also GST, it will be treated as business. So now seeing the supply definition, business definition, consideration definition. Can you think of any one activity which cannot be treated as a supply of goods or services, or both?
Employees in organization.
Sir, employees work for salary. Right? Next, any other question? Any other answer? Sorry.
So on a legal advice, that advocate raised the invoice.
RCM is applicable on that. Instead of the supplier, the service recipient will pay. Supply हो गया उधर भी तो. Next. Practically speaking, we have seen scope of supply, right? I'll never call it definition for supply. I call it the scope of supply. Even if you see the title of the chap section, it is also treated as scope of supply, right? Consideration, business. Business is inclusive definition. Scope of supply is inclusive definition. Consideration can be kind or cash. Do any transaction, it will fall under these three ambits and it will be treated as a supply. Yes or no, friends? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
So on any business transaction, we have to be very, very careful in the organizations, right? Coming back to the scope of supply definition. By a person in the course or furtherance of business. Now, can somebody tell me what is in the course or in the furtherance of business? What is the difference between these two? In the course or furtherance of business, what is the difference between these two?
In the course of business means the regular activity, regular operations of the business. And furtherance may mean that expanding the business, growing the business, where you go on like purchasing the capital goods or assets.
Right. Perfect. In the course of business, माल लेकर आया, माल बेच दिया, माल लेकर आया, valuation किया, बेच दिया. That is in the course of business, right? Furtherance of business. Say today you are a laptop dealer. Now you are selling more than 25 lakh laptops in a month. Your second generation people have come into business, or you are a second generation entrepreneur in your family and you guys are selling 25 lakhs of laptops in a month. As a second generation guy, will you get an idea why don't we manufacture the laptops? In a management parlance, we call this backward integration, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm purchasing laptops and selling it. Now, if I decide to manufacture laptops and sell it, that's a backward integration for me in a management parlance. Now, if I decide to manufacture laptops, will it happen? एक चुटकी में हो जाता है क्या ऐसा चीज? नहीं होता है ना? I need to engage a consultant. That consultant will identify the feasibility of the project. Whether with 25 lakh laptops in a month, that amounts to 3 crore laptops. Will that business will be really viable for me if I start manufacturing? Where I should set up the plant? What should be the technology? What is the cost involved? What are the licenses I need to take? How to raise funds for setting up this 3 crore laptop manufacturing facility? From where should I source my material? How should I sell? For all this, you engage a consultant, right? One or multiple consultants. That is in the furtherance of business. That may materialize or may not materialize. If you appoint me as a consultant for that, I will charge you 1 CR. On that, GST is applicable. In the course or furtherance of business. So whether you're doing it for the current or for the future, that will be treated as a supply, and on that GST will be levied. So is the scope of supply clear, friends, for all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Now we'll go to the next section. Sorry. Now we'll go to the next section, that is schedules. Now we know what is supply. It is an inclusive definition, sir. कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा मेरे लिए तो. Because I've read that scope of supply, I've read business, I've read consideration. On all transactions, GST is applicable. Yes, but there are certain cases where I don't have clarity. Now, say for example, I made a supply, but I'm not receiving consideration. In a classic example of discussion from Nasik to Trivandrum, will Kerala state will pay to the Maharashtra state? Practically? No, right? Both are on the same legal entity only. From a GST per se only, I am raising a tax invoice. I raise a tax invoice in Maharashtra and Kerala will take the input tax credit. But will Kerala state pay to the Maharashtra state legal? No, because the legal entity is the same. But since it is a transfer and consideration is not received, should I qualify it as a supply or not is my question. So government said that, guys, don't worry. In such cases, we are giving you schedule 1, which will say that whether you receive consideration or not, those transactions will be treated as a supply under GST. Schedule 1, please write down. Whether you receive consideration or not, supply without consideration is also treated as supply of goods. Here,
So the distribution
activities to be treated as supply even without receipt of consideration. That is my schedule 1.
Sir, I have one doubt.
Yeah, please.
About the previous definition, it says business includes the activities by.
Activities by whom?
By the government also?
Yes.
When they act as public.
Yes. Now, in some cases, do you pay GST?
In some?
Some cases, right? Now, say for example, state governments run the local state transport corporations.
Right.
Road Transport Corporation, right?
Yeah.
On the tickets, you pay GST or not?
Yeah.
Even IRCTs also they are charging GST, no?
Yes. No, IRCTC is also a local government authority only, right? But only difference is it is a listed entity. Public sector banks, check bounce charges, check issue charges, maintenance charges.
For all charges they are charging in banks.
Yes.
Sorry?
Banks are charging GST for all charges.
Yes. Second schedule. Activities or transactions to be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. There are certain cases where there is an element of goods, supply of goods as well as services. In such transactions, should I classify them as supply of goods or should I classify them as supply of services? For example, I go to a restaurant and order a vegetable sizzler. Now, when the restaurant charges me for the sizzler, they will charge me for the cost of that sizzler, the raw materials used. That means the ingredients like the vegetables, the rice, the potatoes and everything. Portion of the rent, services of the waiter, chef, manager. So I have both components of goods and services. Now, should I classify this transaction as a good or a service? Ambiguity comes. In some cases, service element may be more, goods element will be less. It can be contrary also, or it can be 50-50. So in such cases, how do we handle that? So government said, guys, you don't break your heads. We are there to help you. I will give you the list of activities where you have ambiguity. On such ambiguities, which activities to be treated as supply of goods and which activities to be treated as supply of services. That is my schedule 2. Schedule 3. activities which are to be neither treated as supply of goods nor supply of services. Schedule 3. Activities or transactions which shall be treated neither as supply of goods nor supply of services. On these activities or transactions, we cannot classify them neither as supply of goods nor supply of services. That means on those transactions, GST is not applicable. So these are the 3 schedules we have. In the first schedule, we have 4 points. So the first point is permanent transfer or disposal of business assets where input tax credit has been availed on such assets. Now, when we discussed about the scope of supply, there we discussed about disposal, right? Giving off my old laptops to the government school. Am I receiving any consideration from the school? No. Even though I have not received any consideration or not receiving any consideration, but when I purchase those laptops, I have availed input tax credit. That is why that transaction has to be treated as supply of goods, and on that GST is applicable. Now, if I read it carefully, permanent transfer or disposal. So disposal, I got it clear. Then what is this permanent transfer? Say for example, I have 2 manufacturing units. Say one is in Nasik and other one is in Hyderabad. So we have a similar technology and we are manufacturing, say, furniture. For stitching of this furniture, let us assume that we are using a high-end machine. So I have 2 machines in Nasik and 1 machine in Hyderabad. We are doing the business. I have installed 2 machines in Nasik, assuming that it is closer to Maharashtra and I should be able to handle my business more effectively. Hyderabad, it's an upcoming market, so I need not worry. So I made only 1 machinery there. But unfortunately, my business plans once went for a toss. I am having more business in Hyderabad compared to Nasik. So what I've decided is, every time I cannot have my machinery being used from Nasik, get it stitched there and send it to Hyderabad. Because to send the material, I need to incur transportation cost, and to bring it back, I incur transportation cost. That is increasing my burden and it is having an impact on my bottom line. So I decided to bring that extra machine, which I'm not using it for my 100% of my efficiency, from Nasik to Hyderabad. So that will be treated as a permanent transfer, right? I'm bringing that machinery, stitching machinery unit from Nasik to Hyderabad unit. Permanently, I'm transferring it from Nasik to Hyderabad. So will my Hyderabad unit pay to the Nasik unit? No, right? So that will be treated as a supply without consideration. That is transfer of business assets permanently, or disposal of assets will be treated as a supply without consideration.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
Sorry,
please.
sir.
Yeah, please.
This permanent transfer, you are telling that it will not attract GST?
No, it will attract GST, but it will not pay consideration, right?
Okay.
Will my Hyderabad unit pay money to the Nasik unit in our example?
No,
what we discussed?
no.
No, right? There is one case law. I'll share you that case law actually. Do you guys have a WhatsApp group or something like that?
Yeah.
No, sir. As of now, we don't have any WhatsApp group.
So I think so. I would recommend one of you take an initiative and create a WhatsApp group. Now Kia Motors, right? So Kia Motors, a demo vehicle was moving from Karnataka or some state to Madhya Pradesh. Demo vehicle is moving from Karnataka or some state to Madhya Pradesh. So when Kia demo vehicle is moving from Karnataka to Madhya Pradesh, that is in context of e-way bill. They said that since the asset is moving, the e-way bill has to be issued. You have not issued e-way bill and they have confiscated the demo vehicle actually. Even though it is from the same legal entity, but different states, permanent transfer is happening from one state to another state. This is a writ petition filed in the Madhya Pradesh High Court if I am not wrong. I'll share you that case law. You can refer to that case law also actually. And then supply of goods or services or both between related persons or between distinct persons as specified in section 25 and made in the course or furtherance of business. Now I am supplying some material from my parent company to subsidiary company. I may not receive money, but still it is to be treated as supply and GST is to be applicable on that. Now when it comes to the related persons, the definition given in the Companies Act 2013 is being used here in CGST Act also. One good thing what I have seen is they have never introduced new definitions if they're already in use in Companies Act or SEBI or Income Tax Act. They have borrowed these definitions from here so that the ambiguity and interpretation of the law is avoided totally. When gifts are given to employees, which is more than 50,000 rupees in a financial year, then that is also to be treated as a supply, and on that GST is applicable. Employee gifts above 50,000 rupees in a financial year. Now if you see the verbatim, they used it very clearly. That is the provision of clause 2. Provided that gifts not exceeding 50,000 rupees in value. Whatever you give, I don't care. If it crosses 50,000 rupees in monetary terms, that will be treated as a supply, even though your employee does not give anything. On those gifts also you have to pay GST. Now, let me give you a small example and I will ask a question on this for you guys basically. So in the previous example, I said I am running an IT company, I have 100 employees. So what I have done is, the team has performed on time, extraordinary, assuming that we got extraordinary profits. Perfect. Now I decided to give a bonus of 48,000 rupees, 48,500 rupees to all my 100 members of the team. Do I need to pay GST on that?
No.
No, sir.
No, no.
No. 48,500 rupees I paid. Now, my employees are coming to office daily. I am providing coffee, tea or soup or Bonvita or Horlicks or something like that. Do I need to add
No.
it for determining this value of 50,000 rupees or not?
No, it is staff welfare.
Why?
No, it is staff welfare.
Who said it is staff welfare? My accountant says it is staff welfare. Sir, the ground rules for our discussion is we are taxation experts, not accounting experts. I never asked you how you are accounting my question. Is my question, how do you account in your books of accounts? No, right?
No.
Then why are we bringing in the dimension of staff welfare unnecessarily? Tell me.
See, under the Factory Act, providing the canteen services to the employees.
Sir, in my example, mine is an IT company. I don't fall under Factories Act.
Sorry,
Please listen to the question carefully. 99% of our litigation comes, we don't read, we don't understand, we don't implement it properly.
Sir, it is
हैंगओवर
only
बोलता है ना, सब मालूम है मुझे, आधा उधर से आधा इधर से थोड़ा उधर से लेके खिचड़ी बना के मिस कर देते पूरा सिस्टम में. Yeah, tell me.
Sir, it is only a refreshment, sir. It is not a gift.
Now, what is the difference between gift and refreshment?
It may be in a form of a kind or something.
Gift is also in kind only.
The providing coffee.
See, nowadays, as a card, also companies are giving as a gift, like a Amazon, like a card, gift
Sir,
card.
what they are giving, I'm not asking, sir. My simple question here is, why should it be considered or not? If yes, why? If no, why?
Sir, it's
Assuming that I am a departmental officer, I issued notice to you. How do you defend that notice?
Sir, refreshment is for all the employees of the company, but gift is
Right.
for the selected employees, select number of employees.
No, I said all employees, right?
Sir,
all employees.
Sir, bonus can be considered as a gift?
Sir, are we talking bonus? Let's not digress, sir. Let's be very specific in these professional discussions. I appreciate and understand your question. Yes, please.
Sir, it's a one-time benefit, no? It's actually.
No, sir, my question is 48,000 rupees, 500 rupees. Plus every day I'm giving them coffee, tea, bonmita, soup, Horlicks, whatever you call it. And it is costing me daily, say 10 rupees. 2 times I'm giving them in a day, 2 times, so 20 rupees. 240 working days. If I add it up to that 48,500,
then due to employer and employee relation.
Sir, services provided by employee to employer, not employer to employee.
Sir, gifts above 50,000 are taxable.
Sir, please read the second proviso carefully once again. Read it with an open mind. Assuming that you had a corporate experience, assuming that you don't have any corporate experience, read it with an open mind, you'll get an answer.
Sir, there is no consideration.
Sorry?
There is no consideration in between employer and.
Right, the whole schedule is without consideration, right? The whole schedule is without consideration only.
So here it is mentioned that the value in a financial rupees value. If I giving coffee or that, I'm not talking any rupee value for of that now. So it is not considered under the gift.
Sir, actually, gifts under 50,000 are not taxable within a financial year, but above 50,000 it is taxable under GST, sir, within a financial year.
So my question here is 48,500 is over, right? 240 into 20 rupees, how much? I removed the holidays, public holidays and weekends. 240 is the working days. 240 into 20. 4,800 plus 48,500. Has it crossed 50,000 rupees or not?
Sir, you mean to say both are not
Sir,
under
I am
the
not
related
saying
parties?
anything, sir. I am asking you guys to tell me.
Yes, sir,
I am
both are
not saying
not under the
anything here.
related party. They're
No,
not
I
the
am not
related
saying
parties.
anything here. I am telling you guys to tell me.
As per the
Can
second
somebody
provision, supply
read
of
the
goods and
provision?
services.
Can somebody read the
Supply of
whole
goods or
provision?
services are both between the related persons or between the distinct persons as specified in the section 25.
Sir, one
When
second.
made in the
I am talking about the provision. I am talking about the provision, not the
provided
clause
that
2.
gives provided that gifts not exceed the 50,000 rupees in value in a financial year by an employer to an employee shall not be treated as supply of goods or services or both.
Now, what do you understand by that provision?
Sir, Mr. Gupta, kindly, my mobile got switched off. Can you tell me from which one you are reading in the
No, Schedule
GS?
1. Schedule 1, Clause 2, provision.
Okay. It's in the Acts, right?
Yes, schedule.
Schedule, okay.
Or you can read it from the GST website also.
So since this is a benefit which is or like a gift given which is less than 50,000, it won't be attracting. It won't be called a supply.
No, 48,500 plus 4,800 crossed 50,000.
That is bonus. That you're calling it as.
I never said bonus, right? I never said
you
bonus.
know, you said.
Because
bonus.
I had profits, I gave them a gift.
Oh, I heard it as bonus. That's okay.
No, it's not bonus. If it is bonus, then no discussions at all.
You said, I thought you said bonus.
Sir, any gift above 50,000 is taxable, sir, under GST. In a
value of the gift or gifts? Value of the gift or gifts? Read it.
Sir,
very
value of sir, value of total gift,
There
sir.
is no any
The
value
total
for
gift
this,
value.
like tea, coffee. There is no any value.
No value. Why there's no value? If I have a vending machine, I need to pay that vendor, right? How many cups have been dispensed from that? Okay.
That type of please.
Okay, let me put one more question for you guys. What is a gift? Define gift.
It should be in a kind article.
Define a gift.
Okay.
It is a asset which can be tangible or intangible in nature and which is given out of love and affection to a near one, dear one, or to a person of.
Okay, what else? What else?
Without any expectation of anything in return. It is given without expecting anything in return. And
what else? Yeah, perfect. Agreed. What else?
माझा चार्जर आहे ना सुनो मोबाईल आहे.
What else?
3% राहिलं अचानक हे होऊन जाईल. प्रज्ञा
What else? See, my sessions will be only with all these stupid questions on you guys.
No, it is interesting. No, interesting.
I know, especially on a weekend, to make people active and make them to participate is a big challenge for me.
No, we are enjoying.
On a offline class, online class.
Yeah, we are enjoying. No, it's not.
That is why I said it has to be three-way communication for me. Sir,
So
first
something
and
is
Simply,
something is hidden in the
simply
something is
say
hidden
that
in the
without
word
any
gift. Something is
without
word
any
hidden.
consideration, without any payment, or without any expecting any returns.
Sir, simple thing. All of you have said what is the gift attributes. One important attribute you left it out. It is non-returnable or returnable.
It's a non-returnable.
No.
Non-returnable.
Now I give employees coffee. Is it returnable or non-returnable?
Non-returnable.
So it is a gift, right, for me?
Of course.
See, I'll tell you why I'm raising this important topic here like this is GST is a business reform and not a tax reform. Now, is the word gift defined in the GST Act? No. Now, there is a high probability that department officer may issue a notice that employee costs, especially the borderline cases, which I gave you that rude example of 48,500 and 4,800. GST is applicable, now pay GST on that. If anything is mentioned as part of my offer letter or employment letter, then it will be not part of my gift. And actually speaking, can I qualify giving of coffee, tea to my employees as a gift first of all? Because giving coffee to my employees is meeting all the attributes of a gift, right? Non-returnable, out of affection to a person I am giving it. I am not expecting anything in return. Yes or
No,
no?
you expect happy employees.
Sorry?
You
No, that is for
expect
the individual
happy
person who
employees.
drinks, right? The person who drinks he gets caffeine. But if I'm as an employer, if I'm giving, am I getting something? Can I
You're
measure
getting
it?
happier. Well, you get employee satisfaction
Can I
probably.
measure it?
No.
No.
In a gift, you cannot measure the monetary value, right? So here, these are certain things which we need to be very, very careful actually. Now, how we book that? You guys have given me a brilliant answer. Staff welfare expenditure. But is it a gift or is it a staff welfare expenditure? Is it mandated as per Company Factories Act or not? One of you have rightly pointed out. But mine is an IT firm. Service industry में Factories Act की applicability नहीं होता है many a times. Or it can be part of my HR policy, right? So that is where documentation comes into picture. So 48,500 plus 4,800 gaya काम से है. Now I will give you one more complexity for this. Now you said, okay, let us assume that I'm not taking coffee, tea or anything. I gave them earpods costing 5,000 rupees. 48,500 plus 4,500 rupees. Now has it crossed 50,000 rupees?
Yes.
Now I need to pay GST from 1 rupee or from 50,000 1 rupee.
50,000 rupees.
Why? Where it is mentioned that it should.
Because as the value grows on 50,000, you have to pay the whole amount. You have to pay the GST on whole amount, not the exceeding amount.
Now we have two good friends and two good friends are giving two different opinions. So we need to be very, very careful under GST. GST is a business reform, not a tax reform. Please keep that in your minds. It has to be embedded in your blood, mind, soul, everywhere actually, in your heart.
See, as per the proviso, gifts not exceeding 50,000 rupees. So that means
if it
from
exceeds,
1 rupee we supposed to. That's what I said. If it is we supposed to pay from 1 rupee or above 50,000 1 rupee, that should be look into in valuation rules.
now valuation rules is very clear. Transaction value. Valuation rules is very clear. Transaction value, right? In case of related parties, open market value. Open market value of that 48,500 plus 5,000 rupees. हो गया काम से.
But plus 10%, I think, if I'm not wrong, sir. In related party case, na plus 10%.
No. If the other person is taking ITC first provision.
Okay.
So guys, we need to be very, very careful when we are reading the provisions of the Act. It says if it is not crossing 50,000, then GST is not applicable. But once it crosses 50, GST is applicable. Means from 1 rupee it is applicable, I will say it as a department person. But as a taxpayer, you need to defend yourself with various provisions and case laws. Till now, this is an ambiguity in this provision and no clarification has been issued by the board. Now, many of you are from accounts department, right? TDS.
So you mean to say we need to, that's what I'm trying to say. In income tax, TDS threshold is there. So once a threshold has been crossed, then we need to start deducting from 1 rupee onwards. The same provision we need to apply here.
No, that is the safest approach you're taking there. Even there also it never mentioned after the threshold limit has breached or from the 1 rupee. If you read the dotted lines very carefully.
Okay.
From the vested interest of the corporates, we take it from the 1 rupee, right?
Yes.
Right, sir.
So that means here there is a litigation again. Department Act as giving the litigation.
Yes, that's it, right? Be happy for that, right? Bread and butter is being earned for you.
So in that area, maybe this is a gray area in a consideration, like we have.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, sir, if I come back to your previous one, I'm not still clear what will be the answer for the gift.
So that's what we were also expecting from you, sir.
Because you,
as your advisory, you give me the exact answer for this question.
घूम के रख दिया आपने.
Can I just
के रख दिया, but आपने clear
give an
answer नहीं
answer to
बोला.
that gifting?
आपको clear answer तो बोलना पड़ा. Defend तो हमें करना है.
अभी ऐसा हो जाएगा सर, ऑफिस में जाके चाय पीना है नहीं पीना है, प्लीज बी क्लियर.
This is good question.
See, my answer is also there in the discussions what I gave you guys. Is it part of the offer letter or engagement letter, or is it part of your HR policy?
कहीं HR policy में लिखा नहीं है.
So better get it incorporated, right, to avoid all this confusion. How many of us go and reviewed the offer letters which the companies have issued after the rollout of GST? None of us. None of us, sir.
Sir, in offer letter, GST, like GST rules are not applied in the offer letters now.
Sir, that is where you need to safeguard, sir. As a tax expert, as a stakeholder of the company, as a decision maker of the company, you need to review from the scratch to on all the transactions.
Sir, even in the entire Pan India also, notice period recovery and the GST is applicable or not. Even there is a big ambiguity,
No,
has been
that
happened.
ambiguity has been solved.
Now it has been solved.
The circular, even Kerala High Court judgment in case of Malappuram Gold is very clearly said that that circular is effective from retrospective effect, and on notice per recovery GST is not applicable.
Yes, see, that's what initially when the act has come into the force, that time there is no any proper definition. But later on, we have this case studies, we have the clarity. But that time also, even HR, they are while issuing the offer letter, they are not mentioning all these things.
No, see, the HR has to take a call on that. They have to discuss with the finance guys and to take a call on that. HR is not an expert on GST, sir. Please don't blame the HR.
No, we're not blaming her. We are not telling that. But HR team is like that. That's what I'm telling.
Don't make us fight.
Post GST, they are not taking any action on the offer
Sir,
letter.
I'll tell you openly,
Sir,
right?
can I say something on the gift part? That
Yeah, please.
question. See, one thing is very sure that when you are spending on your employees, it is all about furtherance of business.
Yes.
Okay. So, from the department's point of view, okay, we have to assume for a moment, and it is a correct thing to assume that today's regime is a Shylock regime. Everyone, if they want to buy, okay, we are dealing with Shylocks. And in this case, that if you have not incorporated, however small you may be, in terms of your organizational size, somewhere it has to be written either in the policy or somewhere else that this is for furtherance of business or not for furtherance of business, whatever you want.
Perfect, perfect. That is how you put the safe harbor clause, right, in an agreement or a contract, right?
Right. That is what I can think of.
Yeah, yeah, perfect, sir. I agree with you 100%. See,
Yeah.
when we did the GST rollout, where I was engaged as a consultant to the companies, we started doing all these activities. And wherever I got implemented GST as a consultant, they have not received notices even after 6 years actually. We have went in depth, reviewed all the contractual documents, reviewed each ledger account in the trial balance, and concluded the GST implications. What should be the scheme of accounting entries after the rollout of GST? How input tax rate should be taken, how it should be reversed, when it should be retaken again. All scheme of entries we used to give it to the clients actually. And those clients have not received notices till date actually. As Indraji has rightly pointed out, everything we got it documented.
Sir,
Yeah?
in such case, not only these
lucky, sir.
tea, coffee and all,
As
not only tea, coffee, whereas IT companies are spending more into the outings. By taking the team going to out, they are spending more amount.
Sir, whatever is the nature of the thing, please document it. The essence is documented. Whether tea, coffee, earpods, or giving an iPad, or whatever is it, please document it. The moment it is documented, everything is addressed for you. Right? Yeah. Any questions?
Now the question is that we need to pay from 1 rupee or above 50,000 rupees.
Vested interest income tax, how are you taking it?
So benefit to the company, you are starting from 1 rupee.
Simple.
Fine, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
So मेरा एक question है, there's one scenario. Scenario is that कि मेरी company गोवा में कोई इवेंट करती है अपने एम्प्लॉयज के लिए, जहाँ पे उनका स्टे, खाना पीना, पार्टी सब कुछ करती है. एंड बिकॉज आई एम डूइंग दिस एक्टिविटी इन अदर स्टेट्स, वहां से मेरे को कोई जीएसटी का इनपुट नहीं मिलता वहां पे, बिकॉज होटल स्टेज उस पर इनपुट का नहीं है. बट इफ सेम एक्टिविटी मैं किसी वेंडर के थ्रू इन अ टूर पैकेज के अंदर करता हूँ एंड वेंडर देयर अ इनवॉइस ऑन आईजीएसटी टू मी, वहां पे मेरे को आईजीएसटी का इनपुट अवेलेबल हो जाता है.
Right.
So,
okay.
But my company place of supply is a Goa. मुझे वहाँ पे supply दे रहा है vendor.
Sir.
Vendors from.
No. We'll discuss in place of supply very clearly. In this, there are two legs of transactions. Again, I said, right? Write down the legs of the transaction. Your answer will be there with you only. First leg between you and the tour operator. Second leg between the tour operator and the hotel in Goa. Chapter closed for you.
But the tour vendor is mentioned.
There are two transactions involved in this.
Yes.
You got the answer now?
So just one more query. If the vendor is mentioning, giving me tour package for Goa, he is mentioning in the invoice. tour package for Goa. So is a clearly mentioned I'm taking a supply for a Goa event from the vendor,
Question,
daily based
sir.
vendor.
Whatever the invoice is mentioned, what is the place of supply in case of B2B services? When we come to place of supply, we'll discuss it.
Okay.
Right?
Right, sir.
Yeah. Any other questions, friends, on topics what we have discussed, not on the other 4 pillars and the subsequent 4 outputs? Okay. If there are no questions, we'll call off for the day, and tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock we'll reconnect again. Okay, friends?
Okay,
Alright,
sir.
sir. And
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
one more
Thank you.
question, sir. Sir, you are from where you're situated in
I'm
Delhi,
based out of Hyderabad.
Hyderabad. Okay, all
Oh,
right.
you are from Hyderabad, sir? Okay, me
Yes.
too.
Oh, you're
Me
also
too.
from Hyderabad?
Yeah, I
Yes,
do,
yes, I am
sir.
also from Hyderabad.
I'm also from Hyderabad.
Oh, great. Great. So let's catch up for a cup of coffee sometime. Or we
Tomorrow
can
also.
have a session from my office only.
Yeah.
And sir, you
It's a
are
pleasure,
talking
sir.
about to make a group for that this course. So how we can make a group?
WhatsApp group.
For all
One
the
of you take
persons.
an initiative. One
But
of you person take an initiative, right? In the
Yeah,
next
I will
session.
take it. Yeah, I will take your initiate, and I will just ping my mobile number in the next section so that everyone can ping me. I will include in that group.
Perfect. Simple. You got the answer, right?
yes, okay. You ping.
This
Can you mention your
Actually,
can
I'm
you mention
supposed
your
to ping
number in
it.
chat?
Yeah, I will ping it by tomorrow. Why? Because most of them are
Okay.
left the section.
Yes,
That is the reason
exactly.
I'm not
Yeah.
pinging today. Just I'm not
All
sharing
right,
my
all
number
right.
today.
Tomorrow at what time it will
2
be?
o'clock.
2 to 5.
2 o'clock.
2 to 5.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
Thank
friends.
you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir. Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone.
Good
Okay,
night.
sir.
Thank
Good
you so
night.
much, sir.
Yeah. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And have a
Thank you,
great
sir.
day, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.